fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. Got a long episode today. It's a different episode. I've got the Wolf, James Henry. He's going to talk to you a little bit. I'm in Louisville right now. It's about 11:30 at night. Going to head down to Biloxi tomorrow. And so we had a fantastic time in Louisville today. I'll talk about that in just a second. But got James Henry. He stayed at my house for about 3 days while we've been doing all this traveling. And so he just came into the studio, and we chopped it up just a little bit. And so you're going to hear from the Wolf, James Henry, a very good conversation. It's going to go straight into me talking to Paul Boulanger after that, who's going to be the new director of education. So Paul and I, we talk a lot about things that are coming up, things that have been on his mind. You're going to enjoy that. At the end of it is my speech I gave today in Louisville. And so it was recorded by someone. They sent it to me, so I just put it on there so you could hear it. But it's the speech that I gave. We had a lot of CLC people in Louisville. They had their CLC function today, Branch 14. It was a CLC takeover. Fantastic group of carriers came and supported that. A lot of CLC folk were in there, and all those speeches got recorded. They'll be put up on social media. But like I said, somebody recorded this, sent it to me, so I just put it on there to make a long episode even longer. All right, so it's on the back end. So you're going to go from James Henry straight to Paul Boulanger and then straight to my speech that I gave today in Louisville. Kind of give you all an inside look at what we talk about generally when we go to these different meetings. Now, every day, every time we talk is different, but this is just the one that I gave today. So hopefully you enjoy that. Got one shout out, then we're going to talk about where we're going for the rest of this month and the beginning of April, okay? But I got one shout out I'm going to do for you. The CLC crew at the Huntington Station, S&DC, turning Long Island into a lion's den. I'm going to hit that one again because I like that. I like that. The CLC crew at the Huntington Station, S&DC, turning Long Island into a lion's den. I love that. We need many, many more just like that. And it's this revolution is taking fire across this country, this movement that we've been talking about. And everywhere we go, man, you can see it and you can feel it. And it's exciting. It's encouraging. The CLC is going to win this thing in a landslide. I cannot wait. Now, there's a couple other slates that are going to come out. Don't care. They're wasting their time and money coming out against the CLC. Now, it's their right to do so, but it'll be establishment slates. We're tired of the establishment. That's what this movement is about. And so you're talking about people that can't read the room. The city letter carrier is tired of the status quo. And you're going to have two slates come out that are the status quo. And so anyway, but it's their right to do so. So Louisville Branch 14 today, I spent a fantastic time, man. Special group of people. Jarrett, their president, headed that up. Lance, who y'all know me and him, we talk every day just about iron sharpens iron. That's a guy that knows his stuff, just like me. He's a smart ass, but a great guy, knows his stuff. And so a great group. We had a carrier drive from West Virginia to attend, 5 hours. Another one from St. Louis drove. And so, yeah, it was a great group of people, man. We had an absolute ball. And so, yeah, good times, man, really good times. Now, we went to Las Vegas, Branch 2502. Y'all saw that put up on social media. That was a fantastic group of people as well. I love all my people, man. And James, I always say, if it's 2 or 2,000, we're going to come talk to you because it's going to be the small stations that are going to make this win a landslide. Because for too long, they've been shunned. They've had their backs turned to them. And so it's the small stations that are going to make this thing a landslide. And they're going to regret the status quo. We're going to regret turning their back on them because they're not votes. They're going to show y'all come up the end of this year, their votes. Their votes. And we're going to get all of them because they're sick and tired of feeling left out. And they know that the CLC is going to address those things. And so Las Vegas 2502. Fantastic time with y'all. We absolutely loved it. James and I had a fantastic time. Unexpectedly, they endorsed us unanimously. And that was a great time, and that caught us off guard, but it was well appreciated, and we had a fantastic time there. Little Rock, Branch 35, we went there. Another great group of people, another great group of individuals, city letter carriers, and I'll talk a little bit about this when you're going to hear me on the end of this thing on my speech, talking about it's our life, light blue. It's who we are. It's our identity. And you have all of them there in their uniforms still because they work, come straight to the Union Hall, and that's our life. And so it's encouraging and humbling to be able to speak to them. The reception they gave us was great. And so, but the rest of this month, tomorrow we'll be in Biloxi. I think they thought we were coming tonight because for the first time ever they had guards at the meet and greet, and we weren't there. And so, yeah, that's a clown-ass NBA, man, that I'll tell you some shit about what's going on down there after a while. I don't want to jeopardize anybody, but just a paranoid clown. And, yeah, had guards down there at the doors. Told everybody that there'll be no campaigning. And yet he's got armbands in there, elect me, him. And so, yeah, we'll deal with that, though. But just clown shit, you know. But we'll be in Biloxi tomorrow. And we'll be mingling about, seeing our people so they can meet their new business agent, Dana Chambliss. And she'll win that region. That's tomorrow. Then the 11th, we'll be in San Jose, California. March 11th, San Jose, California. March 17th, Charlotte, North Carolina. That's March 17th, Charlotte, North Carolina. March 18th, Miami. We'll be down there in the Sunshine State in Miami on the 18th. The 19th, Northwest Indiana. That's on the 19th. The 21st, Stockton, California. So the 21st of this month, Stockton, California. The 26th of this month, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. April 1st, San Francisco. April 1st, San Francisco. And then April 2nd, Hazelwood, Missouri. April 2nd, Hazelwood, Missouri. And we're adding dates every day. Every day, James sends me another date where we're going. And we're going to try to get to everybody that we can. Everybody that we can. Now, we're going on our own dime and our own time, but that's fine. It'll be well worth it when we win this thing so that we can turn this thing back around, right, and go in the right direction. So I'm going to cut it off right here because this episode is going to be extremely long. But next week, you'll hear Paul and I talk about it. Got a national JSOV training class by the CLC. It's a Zoom class. Sign up for that. You have to have a Zoom account. Because last time we did it, people were using anonymous names coming in there and making racial slurs. And so we had to kind of redo things. And you have to have an account now, okay? But get in there and register for that. It'll be a JSOV Zoom. Paul Boulanger, Kamisha Simpson-Lewis, and myself. Then I'm going to be on Hot House with Richie Ray. And then I'll have my episode. And we're going to talk about falsification, postage, and other things. All right, so we'll get back in educating next week. But this week, a little bit different. You got the Wolf, James Henry, who will be our next president. You got Paul Boulanger, who will be our next director of education. And then you got me, the speech. And it was recorded. Somebody sent it to me. So the quality's decent, not great, but you'll get the gist of it, okay? I love you. I love you, Light Blue. I cannot wait to get in there and handle business for you, okay? And so y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. Hopefully we see y'all this week when we're out and about. Y'all come see us and ask us questions. And look forward to seeing everybody, okay? I love you very much. Y'all have a fantastic rest of the day. And I'll talk to y'all next Sunday. All right? Bye. All right. I got the Wolf with me, James Henry. He's in-house, in studio. We have just gotten back from Little Rock. He's going to stay the night, and we're headed to Louisville. We have been on the road, brother, and we've been busy. But he wanted to get on here and just express some thank yous and kind of what we're doing, where we're going, and address some misinformation because, my brother, you know, as always, when you got an election, there's a lot of misinformation for some people who hadn't done anything in about 3 or 4 years, and now here they want to come out, and the only thing they have to offer is misinformation. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I got the Wolf, James Henry. What's up, my brother?
Hello, my brother. How are all my brothers and sisters out there in the NLC? It is a real immense honor to be here in the lab with Corey Walton.
All right, Las Vegas, branch 2502. We had a hell of a time there. That was quite the enthusiastic bunch. That was great getting up there to see them, and surprised us with an overwhelming, unanimous endorsement. And I know that took you by surprise, but going to all these places, James, the enthusiasm about what we're bringing, when you talk to people, you and I talk to people forever afterwards, just hope. And that's what they're saying that the CLC brings is hope. And that's something that you and I talk about often.
No doubt. And that is something that is a real thing, despite some that might want to dismiss it, is that the letter carrier craft has been craving for hope, something to believe in. And I do believe that the CLC, the Concerned Letter Carriers, myself, Corey Walton, Kamitra, and all the others that are on this slate bring hope and inspiration to the letter carrier craft. And you can best believe that is our intent, is to inspire you and let you know that the good in life is equally as real as the bad.
Well, then we go to Little Rock. Just got back, drove there. You and I and my beautiful bride drove to Little Rock and then had their meeting last night, Branch 35. And like you always say, if it's 2 or 2,000, we'll show up and speak to you. And that group was motivated as well. And all them stayed afterwards and talking. And it's always encouraging, James, when you have retirees that come up to you and say, hey, the way y'all talk, the way y'all speak, the things that y'all are going to do is reminiscent of some bravado and those things like that. We heard that a lot last night. And so those things are encouraging because, you and I are on our own dime. we're bankrupting ourselves going across the country, but it's worth it. And just to see our brothers and sisters and when they talk to us and hear the things that they have to say,
Absolutely, brother. As you talk about on our own time and our own dime, I've been squeezing that dollar so hard the feathers are falling off the eagle. The reality of it is that it is worth it. The one thing that I learned earlier on in life, and my parents that taught me, anything that you love is going to show some evidence in it. And the hallmark of when you truly care is your capacity to sacrifice. And that matters a whole lot. And it doesn't matter whether it's your finances, your time, whatever it is that requires a sacrifice, your willingness to do that demonstrates your capacity and how much it actually means to you. That's the hallmark. And the reality of right now is that we genuinely, as Corey likes to often say and does say, is that he loves light blue. We love the letter carriers. He says it on the podcast all the time. Those that are associated with the Concerned Letter Carriers on the slate, we talk about that all the time, about our love for the letter carriers in this union, the National Association Letter Carrier. And this is why we're doing what we do. This is why we're making the necessary sacrifice, because it is worth bringing back the hope and inspiration that Corey stated that letter carriers often reflect to us when we go out and travel the country.
Now, one of the things that is encouraging to me is not everybody listens to From 8 Arbitration. You do have those that show up that listen, They know you from training and stuff, but those that say, hey, look, I was coming in here with an open mind. I've listened to y'all, listened to others. And the thing that separates y'all is that y'all are real. You're not just up in front of us flapping your soup coolers to us like others, that y'all are real and the message is real. Generally what we do is when I get up there, I talk about what I'm going to handle. Things that you have tasked me with. When you talk about the toxic working environment, educating the workroom floor, working hand in hand with the director of safety and health, working in hand with the director of education, who will be Paul Boulanger, making sure that we have the best facilitators to handle these things, not this status quo with, if I know you're my best friend, you're going to be a facilitator, but those that are the brightest, the sharpest. Also, when we talk about the templates going out, James, with talking about an hour office time, making sure that things are put in hands of people immediately, and that's what Paul's going to be over. But then you talk about collective bargaining. What does that look like? And what is it going to look like under James Henry's leadership? And that's the thing that most of the people are most inspired by, because you got a lot of people, a lot of clowns on social media. They never talk about anything. And that's generally all we do is talk about our plans when we get in front of people. And your plans for collective bargaining haven't changed. And so when you talk about the 150 days, hey, we're going to arbitration. And you say throwing the deuces up. But kind of your plan as far as what you're looking for, table 2, COLA, you talk about fast food wages and stuff like that. So what is it that you're looking for when you talk about under James Henry, my presidency? First off, I'm not going to do it alone.
Absolutely.
We have that rampant right now. You've got Renfro and Renfro Light out there solo. And so, what is it going to look like under James Henry?
Well, absolutely. One of the things that I am definitely unit oriented, as you know, and those that have any knowledge about me, I spent 22 years in the Marine Corps. And everyone knows that your success comes from your unit mentality. Every man and woman looking out for one another. And even though you have those that are in a leadership position, your responsibility is to make sure that you look out for your individuals that you're responsible for leading, and that you are interdependent upon one another. No man is an island. And as the leader in this collective bargaining agreement, certainly there are a lot of things that I would do different. Absolutely, one of the things I would not have the go it alone mentality that only I can fix whatever is the problem. You have to be well informed to be effective, and that is inclusive of the executive board. But first and foremost, understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve before you even go into the room. The first and foremost thing that impacts letter carriers right on a daily basis is their finances, their wages. Having a living wage is one of the things that or the primary thing that we were placing an emphasis on from day one. Meaning that the Postal Service would know that this is not a mere request by the NLC, but a demand that we have a living wage, that we have a starting wage that's commensurate with the devotion and the efforts and the sacrifices of our letter carrier craft. In no instance should our CCAs be coming in making just a little over $20 an hour when you have fast food workers out there that are starting off at that and more, and don't have to contend with the dogs and the being accosted and being talked to like they have a tail by management in the office. Those things should not occur whatsoever. And in addition to starting off with a higher wage, that we make sure that our letter carriers craft have full COLAs. There are other crafts within the Postal Service working for the same agency that have full COLAs. It belies any kind of common sense as to why we would not insist that letter carrier craft have full COLAs. and that a portion of our craft have diet colas, getting 63% of what the top letter carrier would have. Now, there are some that say, well, hey, why is it that we're just focusing clearly and mostly on the CCAs or the starting people? What about the top? Well, that old saying that a rising tide lifts all boats. Clearly, if you have the starting wage being raised, that inherently, by virtue of the step increases that are currently in place, would raise the wages of those in the middle and the top. Moreover, we need to make sure that we have a shorter period from the time that we start to the time that we reach top level in our step increases. Because as I often say here, I have monthly bills. I don't have yearly bills. I don't think that it is a sufficient argument to say, well, you spend majority of your career at the latter part so you can kind of wait on getting those wages. No, because I have monthly bills. I have to be able to survive now. In no instance should we have anyone in our union, anyone in our craft, having to go to the union hall and take showers, having to wonder how they're going to put bread on the table, how they're going to take care of their children, how they're going to be able to even purchase additional uniforms when the uniform allowance is insufficient, and they're having to choose of all these different things that they have to do. All that goes back down to not having a living wage. We need to make sure that in addition to having full colas, in addition to having a higher wage, that we also have a affordable health care where the Postal Service, the employer, is paying a larger share of the health care plan. Currently right now, I believe it's at 72% maxed out that they have to pay. It should be, the cap should be lifted. We should have greater contribution by the employer towards our health plan. That's going to give you a net in addition to your take-home pay. We also need to make sure that we have a career workforce, an all-career workforce. That is something that is going to go a long ways and assist and aid with regards to retention of letter carriers and making this job that what it should and had been in the past. The reality of it is here is that at the center of everything right now is that our wages have not kept up with inflation. Our wages that we receive under the current collective bargaining agreement is less than the outgoing costs that have occurred since then. Those that have received their notices and see that healthcare plan and the NLC healthcare plan in itself, which is a great health plan, however, it's increased your contribution by $1,000. Well, the COLAs, particularly those that got the diet COLAs and the general wage increase, just simply has not kept up with the outgoing costs that we have. You brought some in the beginning and some have gone out on the back end. So you bring some income in the front door and you let it out on the back door. That is not something that we need to happen. And all of this is going to get achieved either by initial demand or multiple demands. Now, one of the things that I want everybody to understand here is that we're not by any means guaranteeing anyone that every single thing that we say and ask for is going to be accomplished in one fell swoop. But what it will not be is due to lack of trying. We will fight for every single letter carrier, every single dime that we believe is necessary and required and is rightfully deserved by the letter carriers. And as of right now, I'm not feeling that emphasis is on the priorities of the letter carriers, of those that are negotiating on behalf of the letter carriers. You know, I want to ensure that we have a group of representatives that are going to not take a excuse from management just because they said. What you will not have is myself or anyone on our team making the case why we cannot pay you. We will not be echoing the Postal Service's talking points. It doesn't matter whether or not they believe that they're true or not. What we will be doing is making the case as to why letter carriers are deserving and why we are demanding higher pay. Full stop.
Well, one of the things that you and I talk about often, and everybody talks about, because the Postal Service does a fantastic job of getting out there this "we're broke" stuff to the public. Unfortunately, our leaders have bought it. Some of our MBAs have bought it. And it's echoing through Renfro and Varner and those that were broke and things that are being done to the letter carrier craft right now because of taking on the management's position of "we're broke." You saw this come out by the Postmaster General talking about we'll be out of cash, and then he says that the problem is that we are bloated as far as the workforce. And then he goes on to say that it's management. There's too much management. Something that we've been saying for years here on this podcast is it's management. I've always said, you handle your business first and then come to us. You start with y'all and then come to us. You've not done the first damn thing about correcting things when you talk about $1 billion lost, when you talk about non-compliance. Then you talk about bloating in management. I've always said you need to get on those books. And so they're making money hand over fist. It's just that management is wasting management either through non-compliance or, and this is something that's been going on for the 30 years I've been delivering, if we make any kind of profit, they're going to make more managerial positions and suck that up. That's been going on for all time. And he's come out and said it. We have too much management. There's more management now than there's ever been under DeJoy. He has bloated this thing. And so to me, I will never take on management's position of they're broke. I don't care what they say. I'm just not going to take on that position. My position is, I don't care what you are, my people deserve a living wage, just like you always say. That's full stop, as you say. My people deserve a living wage, and we deserve an all-career workforce. I don't care about you being broke because there's too many things that you could fix that you're not doing. One is the bloating of management.
I agree with you 100%. I genuinely believe that the reason that they have been able to saturate offices with all these additional managers at all levels is because they were able to shave it off the backs of the letter carrier craft. Or that's just the truth and the reality of it is here. You want to know what's important to somebody? Watch how they spend their money. The Postal Service has allocated their monies in all different manners of ways. You know, with these S&DCs and having all these additional managers and the other things that they spend money on. But when it comes to the letter carrier craft, they're not willing to spend the monies that are there to be spent. Reallocate those funds that you're spending on all kind of other things, such as management, wages, and redirect that to those that are the face of the Postal Service and those that go out and dress up, get up, and show up every single day and deliver America's mail and do so under less than ideal conditions, whether it's mental stress in the offices or having to deal with hostile individuals out on the street, the criminal element, or having to deal with the climate elements. Letter carriers, by all metrics, deserve a higher wage, deserve full COLAs. And that means every single one of us. You know, I was saying yesterday down in Little Rock, Arkansas, and a shout out to them for their great hospitality and the other places that we've been here over the last couple of weeks. Branch 47 out in Denver, Branch 576 out in Phoenix, and Branch 2502 showed us mad love. But the one thing that is consistent throughout wherever we go out in the country is that letter carriers are fed up with being treated second class, not being given the respect that they deserve. And this is why they're clamoring for someone that is going to actually fight for them. And you'll have these individuals that say, well, what about the specifics and how you're going to accomplish? How we're going to accomplish it is by fighting for you. by holding management accountable consistently, by ensuring that if we're in this national collective bargaining agreement, as you stated earlier, that if they're not willing to meet our demands, that we throw the deuces up at them and say, peace out, we'll see you in arbitration. And I often say it's not the system that's the problem, it's the application of the system. We as the NLC cannot be complicit. And what I'm saying here, we cannot be echoing management's talking points. We cannot be echoing management's arguments. We need to be making the arguments as to why letter carriers are deserving and why we are demanding higher pay, period. Full stop. And if we're not doing that, or if we have people that are not willing to do that, then step out of the way and let those that are willing to take up the fight fix bayonets in charge. That is something that needs to happen. And when I say here that when I was talking about what I stated in Arkansas last night, that saying that we have in the military, that he ain't heavy, he's my brother, we should not have any representative that is not willing to take up the task of carrying our brothers and sisters along, carrying their arguments, carrying their grievances, carrying their concerns to those that are on the other side of the table to be able to provide what it is that our carriers are demanding. So from the beginning of your career to the end of your career, we're willing to carry the load.
But here's what I thought was funny. Somebody sent me this the other day, and Paul Boulanger is going to be on later, and we're going to talk about this at length, and I'll probably read this again. When you talk about, they came out and they said, hey, this labor cost is what's killing the Postal Service. I think he said it was 70% of our cost is labor cost. And then he says, management is bloated. That's what he said. That's what Postmaster General said. Here's what I think is going to happen. And then somebody sent me this kind of reinforcing that. They said, hey, Corey, we have 42 routes. They just hired another supervisor. Now, the Postmaster General just came out and said that management's bloated. Now, listen to this. They just hired another supervisor and just put 2 more carriers as 204Bs. That gives us 3 204Bs. So counting our postmaster, we have a total of 8 people to supervise 42 routes. 8 people supervising 42 routes. Here's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to bloat management even more. So here you have 8 people supervising 42 routes, which is completely ridiculous. They're going to come in and they're going to cut probably 50% of that back down to where it should be and say, look, we did our part. We did our part. We've cut all this management. We said that it was bloated. We cut 70% of management, which is going to look good to the people on the outside. Well, shit, they did their part. Now the carriers need to do their part. No, what you did was, just like we was talking about the other day, for your holiday sales, when you're going to get some furniture, they're going to say, hey, the prices are cut 50%. Well, shit, you raised them 60% and then cut them 50%. That's what happens. That's what's fixing to happen with management. 8 people. They're just hiring these people. 8 people to supervise 42 routes. I think you're fixing to see management say, hey, look, we did our part. We cut 70% of management. Well, that's because you bloated it up. You expanded management during that process. So you really didn't do anything. Now, carriers, what are y'all going to do? Unfortunately, we got somebody in Renfro who'll say, look, carriers, they've done their part. I'm so sick of carrying management's fucking water. It drives me crazy. Because when I sit down across from management, whether it's in arbitration, labor management meetings, I've got my position.
Right.
This is my position.
Right.
And so what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go backwards on my position. Especially when you're talking about arbitration. I'm not going backwards. Those days are gone when we get in arbitration of backing up. Concessions. Those days are gone. When we get in arbitration, this is what we demand. And we're going to put the best case on that we can to show why we need it. But I think that management has, you always talk about Stockholm Syndrome, is that we've sat in there so long with management, James, that we have sympathized with them. And now we've got our leader bringing that to the craft, saying, look, these people, and we talk about this all the time, James, you and I, these people are broke, man. And y'all want me to go in there and demand something from people that are broke. And now look, they've done all this cutting of their sales, the fat. They're really trying to do the best that they can. We cannot continue on with these escalated monetary awards because it's just, with them being broke, it makes us look bad. You had business agents saying we can't talk about the OIG report because with $1 billion lost because it ends up making us look bad. I'm so sick and fucking tired, James, of us being the bad guy, and all we do is put on light blue, go to work, and do the best we fucking can, but yet we're the bad guys.
Absolutely.
Management has destroyed us, and we are the ones with our agents saying, y'all are just demanding too much or wanting too much. I want contract compliance. I don't think that's too fucking hard to ask for, that I want contract compliance.
But to emphasize your point, underline it, if you're going to say that the letter carriers is the problem for us, the Postal Service labor, there is a $30,000 difference between the bottom step and the top step. $30,000. So to emphasize what you're talking about how we have succumbed and capitulated so much that we've whittled away the letter carrier's worth. We've whittled away the letter carrier's worth. I mean, come on. A $30,000 difference between the bottom step and the top step, that is something that has to be recaptured. Again, they often talk about how they're having problems retaining letter carriers because you don't have a living wage.
And you treat them like shit.
Yeah, and you treat them like they got to tell. Absolutely. And so, absolutely, as the president, I wouldn't spend 700 days traveling the country telling our craft why the Postal Service can't pay us what it is that we're entitled to. Now, I'm from Los Angeles. Diehard Laker fan. When Kobe Bryant in his last couple of years there, the sports announcers used to ask him and say, well, Kobe, you in your last years and don't you want to go out with a championship? Why don't you give some money back on your contract so the Lakers can get additional players for you? He says, this is what I'm worth. It's not my job to worry about how they get players. My job is to go out on the court and play. Their job is to make the necessary moves to get a team in here. It is not our job as NLC representatives to concern ourselves about how the Postal Service is able to make sure that we get taken care of. Our job is what we do every day. Get up, dress up, show up, and go deliver that mail. That's our job. Our job as representatives is to relay to management as to why they're deficient in their job and that they need to make necessary strides to get the letter carriers a living wage. I said that here we should be the leaders when it comes to wages, benefits, and working conditions. We have a responsibility to often point out to management that we're supposed to have competitive wages, and those things are just not occurring at this particular moment. I do believe that the last round of collective bargaining agreement that we did not strike while the iron was hot. When all the different unions were going through, the Screen Actors Guild, the auto workers, and a host of others, and how they had secured additional wages for their membership, we basically sat on our hands much longer than what we needed to do so. And the reality of it is here, that is one of the things that will never, ever, ever happen when we become in charge. We will keep the process going. We will not take no for an answer from management. We will not. At this point, I am a firm belief that we are at the stage that failure is not an option. We can no longer fail to deliver for our letter carriers. We cannot fail to deliver for our craft at this point, because all that's going to do is continue to have a rippling effect and compounding effect of falling further and further and further behind to the point where it's nearly impossible to catch up. And like I said, if you want a snapshot of that, look how far from when I came in, it was an $8,000 difference between the bottom step and the top step, and now you're talking about a $30,000 difference? How do you recapture that? We may not be able to recapture it all in one fell swoop. All right? Even though we're deserving of that. But again, it will not be to lack of trying. We have to make sure that our letter carriers' voices are heard and that our representatives are putting forth the necessary and requisite effort to put the necessary fight up. And that's what I'm saying here is that, using a military term, it is at the point where it's fixed bayonets in charge. It is hand-to-hand combat at this time. And those that's old enough can remember the commercial that used to Rock'em Sock'em Robots. You remember Rock'em Sock'em Robots? It's time.
Well, I had one.
Yeah,
I'm almost. Yeah, I'm 56.
Yeah,
they're 57.
Rock'em Sock'em, and you need to go in there and knock their heads off.
Yeah.
That was the end game, right? You go in there.
As soon as that head popped up, it was over.
Yeah, we need to knock some heads off.
Yeah,
and that should be our mentality.
Yeah.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
There is no. You stated out there on the speech that the time for talking is over at this point. Like I said, this is no longer a mere request. This is a demand.
Yeah, it's a different union that we're bringing. When you talk about you can take care of the NELC and the workroom floor at the same time.
Absolutely.
We're changing a culture. We're changing a culture both at the NELC. We're bringing that militant style back. When Renfro talks about he's this skillful negotiator, but he's never negotiated anything. His TA was a complete failure, his first one, and he's had one arbitration. You will go down probably as the greatest arbitration advocate the NELC's ever seen. And I say that everywhere I go. I thought I did well, and you've done hundreds of cases and right at about 85%. You understand the process better than anybody. And so that's the thing that people need to understand is we do have a skillful negotiator coming when you win, and you're going to win. I mean, everything points to it not being close. And so that's the security that I take with me as a carrier. I carry today. I'm a city letter carrier still. I deliver 6 days a week. And the security that I have that I take to my people is, look, we finally have that individual in James Henry that understands that process more than anybody ever. And so your record speaks for yourself. And you and I will do this again. We got to go because we got to go pick up your girl from the airport. But misinformation, I want to touch on this real quick because it's going to come out, and it is coming out like crazy. Misinformation about you, misinformation about me. Everything you didn't know about me, I've said on my podcast. Ain't nothing new. Misinformation about you, and that will kind of start picking up steam here because you are so far ahead. And one of the things we heard the other day is that a business agent is running around telling his constituents, look, James is running and then he's going to step down. And he said people are buying that shit. And so what they're saying is that you're spending, last year you probably spent about $30,000 of your own money.
Yeah.
You'll spend probably double that this year because we're going to so many. You see the board right there. That's the places we've been.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Look at all the places. I've got a map with a pin in every place that we've been. That's all the places we've been. And we're going to double that probably by the end of this year. Right. So you're probably going to spend a lot more than the $30,000. So what this clown's going around saying is James is going to spend about $80,000 to win the presidency, and then he's going to step down, and then Corey's going to take it over. And people are buying that shit. I want you to address that.
Let me say this in no uncertain terms. We are not running for show. We are serious candidates. And my heart and my conditions and convictions is to bring this union back to its point where management, when they hear the letters NELC, are afraid. I am running to make sure that letter carriers receive a higher wage and that the respect and dignity is restored on the floor. So unequivocally, I am not running to step down. My word is that when we win, we're going to see that term through and run for the next term. The reality of it is that that old saying, a drowning man will reach for a straw. And that's what's happening right now. All right? So the fact of the matter is that no, if anybody asks you, and you hear that, it is absolutely unequivocally false. We are not running to quit. That is not something that we do. And I can tell you absolutely that Corey and I have deep conversations on this subject and the things that we want to accomplish as a slate and other people on the slate. We all talk on a regular basis. And the concerned letter carriers, the CLC, is here and here for one reason only, and that is to make the letter carriers' lives better.
Brother, that sounds good to me. Let's get out of here. Anything you want to say to the people before we leave? And then I'll have you back on, though, probably in another month or so.
Absolutely. I like to say that everywhere that we've gone, everywhere that we are scheduled to go, we appreciate the love and the hospitality that we've gotten so far, and those that we're coming for. I want you to be on the lookout. Look on to the Concerned Letter Carriers, all our social media pages, our sites, Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, TikTok, YouTube, Thread, all of them. And we post where we're going to be going. And we'll be spreading our message, and you get an opportunity to look us straight in the eye. And you'll know that we are nothing but full of love for the letter carrier craft. So do so. I would also like to remind those that if you have not done so already, go on concernedlettercarriers.com. All one word, concernedlettercarriers.com. Sign up, endorse, support, volunteer, help us out, help this movement, join this movement, and let's get this done. And we'll all be able to have a union that we all can be proud of to the degree that we should. I'm proud to be an NLC member now, but I do believe, like always, there's room for improvement. And I believe that the CLC and the Concerned Letter Carriers are that vehicle that helps bring that improvement, but we cannot do it without you. This is about us, we, not about James Henry, not about Corey. It is about we, the letter carrier craft. And so let us all join collectively and make this happen. Take care and God bless.
All right, my brother. We'll get you back on soon. Now let's go get your lady from the airport.
All right.
All right. I got my man, Paul Boulanger, on with me. We're going to talk about a few things. As you know, Paul has been tasked with being the director of education when we take over. Something that we used to have, they did away with it for whatever reason. And so now James is re-implementing that because of the need for education nationwide. We talk about it everywhere we go, that we're going to educate the workroom floor, not just the stewards, Formal A's, DRT, advocates, whoever else. We're wanting everyone in light blue to be educated. And so he's going to be tasked with that. And then we got other things that we're going to talk about, but Paul, brother, being tasked with director of education with an administration like the CLC is going to have, that's going to be their staple, is education. Everybody knows how I feel about it. James is one of the greatest educators we've had. Everywhere we go, people talk about the classes that they've had with James, inspirational things that he's done for them. And so that's a heavy burden, brother. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready, brother. I'm ready, and I'm happy to be on with you. It's been a little while, my
It
friend.
has been. You kicked me off the Lions Den. You took that from me, and so you're doing
Kicking
that
and screaming.
yourself.
You went kicking and screaming, didn't you?
It's like I want to do it. Just like no, I'm the director of education. I'm taking that over. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're doing a fantastic job with that. I know your passion for educating, but talk to me about director of education. What's that going to look like with Paul Boulanger?
No, well, I'll tell you one thing, Corey. You're absolutely right. I don't know why they did away with that program, but it really shows. Right now, we are so far behind the eight ball. I don't know if you heard my last Lions Den episode. These
Yeah.
welcome back packets, brother. These been around since 2014. 2014, 12 years, and we don't have a grievance starter for this shit. That
Mm-hmm.
amazes me. The things that go on the workroom floor that are unaddressed. These TV monitors for performance. I just picked up something with I don't know if you caught on my episode, CA16s. They're substituting a form for the CA16 now, and we don't even have a good grievance starter for the CA16. Never mind this form that's come out after it. It amazes me.
It's we're so out of touch. We're
Absolutely.
so out of touch nationally with what's going on the workroom floor. And I've always said, since James said he's going to re-implement the directive of education, that when you talk about the hour office time, and I know you're going to talk about the 20 minutes PM office time because
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of got that ass chapped a little bit.
Oh
But
shit.
but these things need to be addressed nationally immediately, just like your welcome back packets,
Yeah.
especially those requiring signature.
Yeah.
These things should be addressed immediately. If you're in touch with the workroom floor, you talk about having the pulse of the city letter carrier craft.
And,
Those things that can adversely affect us need to be addressed. We've
and you know
done
what?
a horrible job.
You know what bothers me about this, Corey, too, is you know that somewhere this started. You know, they tried it somewhere and we let him get away with it. And we let
Yeah.
him get away with it in another office and another office. And next thing you know, it's all over the country because we sat back and didn't do anything.
Look at the hour office time.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I,
yeah.
I got this. I got this today. Well, no, this was yesterday, and it's the whiteboard. And somebody sent it to me, and it says check hamper for packages, clock to street, back to office, make moves to splits, check vehicles daily, make office time 45 minutes, no exceptions, geofence. Make office time 45 minutes.
Yeah. And I've seen
That's what
some
you're
threats of
talking about.
discipline. There's some threats of discipline out there, too. You'll be back in 45 or you'll be out at 45 minutes or
Yeah.
else, or else.
Well, I read that last week, Paul, where they're talking about if your first break is 30 minutes. 30 minutes after your begin tour is your first break.
Yeah.
If you're not pulled down by that 30 minute before that 30 minutes, it's an investigative interview. Well, they may not ever issue discipline, but the threat is already there.
Yeah.
You know, it's these scare tactics. You're not pulled down, it's an investigative interview. So what's everybody going to do? Well, fuck, I got to pull the fuck down.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what happened to my 33 minutes of fixed office time?
Yeah.
And you're
I
going to
got
get into that in a second.
Oh,
But
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And I'm going to talk about this in a minute too. But one of the
yeah, yeah.
offices that's being inspected in New Hampshire, we get a carrier skipping his lunch break every day, and they know it. They know it, and
Mm-hmm,
because he has to pick up his kid, they're giving him a pivot on top of that. So he's
mm-hmm,
skipping his lunch break. He's running his silly ass off just to help management because we're
yeah,
not there to help.
yeah. Yeah, and so I was ecstatic. I mean, that's one of the very first things James told me when we was talking about educating. He said, well, "I'm bringing back the directive of education." You know, and you talked to James numerous times. You understand his passion for educating the workroom floor. Nobody else has addressed it.
No, no, absolutely
Renfro,
not.
nobody else has addressed educating the
No.
workroom floor.
No, and you
And
know,
so,
Corey, even after we've brought this to everyone's attention, you know, I don't know if Renfro's running or not. That's a big question mark in the sky. But all these other people who are putting slates together, no one's even mentioned it. You know,
yeah,
we're not going to address education. You know, why? Don't you know that this is the biggest problem in our union today?
it's still that gatekeeper mentality. It's that gatekeeper mentality. I want to hand this out like scraps. You get a few, you get a little bit, we're going to ration out education. I have never understood that.
Oh,
You're going to get it at regional training. Your business agent may put on a shop steward college or whatever, but it needs to be constant education of the workroom floor. You didn't become a great advocate, Paul, by going in there once every 2 months and
no,
just walking in there and putting your case on. You educated yourself. You read sites, the packet, the JCAM, everything else to better yourself to be the best advocate you could be. You're a great advocate because you've done that. The workroom floor is no different.
no,
I've said repetition. It's repetition. The 6 day count. Who in the fuck wants to learn about 6 day count? As boring as that is, but you need those people that have taken the time. My president, Dana Chambliss, is an expert at 6 day count. You need those individuals that have said, "Hey, this is something that I'm going to make my niche. This is what's going to be the thing that I focus on the 6 day counts. But yeah, it's about repetition and that willingness.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Corey, you notice this as well as I do. When we do an educational, like a podcast, we get people calling us and texting us all the time. Hey, can I get a copy? Where can I reference that? Can I get
Yeah.
that? Can I get those sites? People are dying for more education, and we're giving them
Yes.
as much as we can. But you just wait, brother. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing.
Well, I agree. I had something you're talking about that. Somebody sent me. Keep talking. I'm gonna find it.
All right. It's funny when you first brought me on, I was gonna not say a word and just let you sit there and keep saying hello, hello,
Yeah,
because I
that,
know
that
I know
doesn't
my brother
surprise
Corey
me any.
Walton loves talking.
But it's the person that they sent me the screen, and I sent it to you. Matter of fact, talking about, hey, Paul was talking about the welcome back packets. Is there any way I can get a hold of it? It's all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hey,
He
Paul,
he
yeah,
asked if he could bring in the harassment aspect to it. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I got that
yeah.
email.
So, but that's how you stay in touch with the workroom floor, Paul. You keep the pulse, as we say, of the city letter
Yeah,
carrier. Is you remain active, you remain open, you don't gatekeep, like we was talking about. And so it's refreshing that James Henry's passion is education.
yeah.
And to me, that's where you win. And I've always said an educated workforce is a devastating thing. I didn't say an educated union or an educated shop steward. I said an educated workforce because the workroom floor, if the city letter carrier is educated on that workroom floor, you don't have to worry about anything.
That's right.
You got disorderly management comes in there. They know to do their job, file those grievances. Now we got to get the grievance procedure fixed, but file those grievances, and that will handle things. That
Yeah,
will handle management.
yeah. Unfortunately, we're being taken advantage of right now because we have weak leadership.
And we've got. It's the most. I said this last week, I believe. It's the greatest opportunity for us to trample management because they're all time dumbest. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. You're right.
they're I'm serious that they're at the all time dumbest because all they do is come in and wait for instruction. They
Yeah.
have no idea about how to run the workroom floor. All they're told is, "Hey, get the carriers out in 45 minutes." That's it. And so that's their instruct. They have no concept of the contract, or anything else like that. And so they're at their all-time dumbest, and we're
Well,
just
they're
we're
ripe
just
for they're ripe for the picking with the grievance procedure, brother. They
and
are
we're
ripe for the picking.
and they're taking advantage of us. That's how bad it
That
is.
that's amazing. Can I talk about this 20-minute fixed office time because this is I'm dying. What did I tell you? I said, Corey, bring the swear jar, didn't I?
Yeah, and I don't cuss, but if you feel like cussing, you can do that.
Yeah, you don't cuss. But this is I came here to cuss. What do you tell you?
You've been saving you've been saving it up.
I've been saving all my loving for you, brother.
Come on, give it to me.
All right, so um, we had a route inspection, a minor adjustment agreement in place in New Hampshire for two offices that were being inspected up until Friday at 10 minutes of 5. And I know I called you right after this, Corey, because I was so livid. So I'm not a big fan of avoiding a route inspection, but there's some times when a minor adjustment's called for. And out of 19 routes, we had an hour and 26 minutes that they were going to adjust, and it was warranted. So I said, yeah, let's look at that. At 10 minutes to 5, the day before the inspection was slated to start, I got a call and they said that, by the way, you realize, of course, that fixed office time is now 20 minutes. And I said, what the hell are you talking about? They said, well, yeah, we got to take an extra 3.5 hours off those 19 rounds because your union changed fixed office time to 20 minutes. And I said, well, that's not going to happen. They asked me for a counter offer. I said, my counter offer is go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's a good
Because
that's
we
a good
never,
counter offer.
yeah, because we never agreed to that. We never
Yeah,
agreed to that. But I pulled out the JCAM language because they told me that they had it in writing and they were going to provide it to me. They haven't done that yet. But I pulled out the JCAM language and Corey, our our inept national president stepped in it again. Because if you look at the language that he agreed to, I'm going to read this to you. This is the proposal for the reduced fixed office time in a route adjustment process like JRAP or TRE. But this is what it says: fixed office time in a joint route evaluation and adjustment environment. So now you can extrapolate that. You can say that a minor route adjustment is a route evaluation and adjustment environment. So I'm going to guarantee you right now, all around the country where they're doing minor adjustments, they are sliding in this 20 minutes of fixed office time, and our brothers and sisters don't even know it.
Yeah, because they're going to say it's the environment.
Yeah.
This was something that was sent to me. Route inspection starting in two of our stations tomorrow morning. Route inspection team leader called at 4:50 and said they were willing to call off the inspections if I accepted 20 minutes of fixed office time per route.
See? Yeah. This is going to happen everywhere, brother, because this is
That
what they
was sent
think
to me.
now they think they can get away with this. They
Yeah.
think they can get away with this because our president, our genius president agreed to this language. I would not be a bit surprised if they took this to the interpretive step and said that all route adjustments, all minor route adjustments, qualify for a 20-minute fixed office time. I wouldn't be surprised.
Here's the thing about that, Paul, and you and I have done grievances long enough to know. If management comes to me and says, hey, we've got the 33 minutes of fixed office time, that's antiquated. Because just like Renfro letting them do the certifies and the DPS, that was something that he mentioned, saying we're going down to 20 minutes because they got certifies in the DPS now. So that tells me the reason we didn't take that nationally, because that's a change in our work methods. We did that in the office. Now they're doing it in DPS. I say we should have fought that, but we didn't. But now I know why, because he agreed that since you're going to do that in the DPS, we'll reduce that fixed office time from 33 to 20 because we've lost a lot of those things. If management comes to me and says, hey, Corey, we're wanting to take the 33 minutes of fixed office time and reduce it to 20, I'm going to say, take that to arbitration.
Yeah. Yeah, fight. We're going to fight.
I will not concede. I'm not going to concede a minute of office time because everything management does is trying to screw us in the office. You look at DPS. That was to get us out of the office. You look at FSS flats. Of course, that's done away with. Get us out of the office. You look at them telling us our office time to get us out of the office, 45 minutes office time, 30 minutes of office time. All of these things are to get us out of the office. When you come back in the afternoon, they talk about 5 minutes PM office time. That's to get us out of the office. Everything that they do is to get us out of the office, and now they're beating the shit out of us on the street with these stationary events and all this other bullshit they're doing. What we need now more than ever is a militant leadership that goes head on with management when they start that shit. And when you say, hey, we're going to reduce it to 20 minutes, good luck. Good luck. We'll see you in arbitration, however you want to do that. We'll see you. Our office time, we're going to handle that as well. We're going to agree with that. 5 minutes PM office time, we've already talked about that, how we do that. But that is rampant and constant because management wants us out of the office. Had somebody message me the other day, and I'm going to talk. This is next week's episode. I'm going to go over it. But they caught them when they were looking up clock rings. They were falsifying clock rings to show carriers were out of the office in an hour. And that's what we caught them doing. I think it was here in Louisville, if I'm not mistaken. We caught them doing that in New Orleans when all this hour office time first started. And I talked about this on my episodes, but management was falsifying clock rings forever, saying that we were out of the office in an hour, and we still had carriers in there casing for an hour and a half. And so we didn't get a cease and desist on that. We said that they'd go back to tax training. They've had tax training. Yeah. If you're sitting at that desk, you've had tax training. So why would I send them back to tax training? They're stealing from us. They're falsifying.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
You bring two important points to the front, Corey, that when I'm the director of education, the one thing we're going to look at is doing away with these diet cease and desist remedies. We have to fight. I mean, cease and desist is the most basic enforcement tool that we have, and we're not going to give it up. We're not going to give it up. And the other thing you bring up that I want to address is stationary event discipline. Yeah. Why haven't we ever gotten a grievance started to attack that nationally? Yeah. So what my plan would be on this, Corey, is, when I have the ability to reach out and talk to all the people that we have in our union, the people on the workroom floor, like you said, our greatest assets. We see this all the time. Our scanners will say you're 50 feet, you're 100 feet, you're 200 feet from a mailbox, and the mailbox is right in front of you.
Yeah,
right?
you're standing right there putting mail in it.
You're standing right there. If we had like 2 or 3 or 4 pictures of this happening in every state, 150 pages of this scanner failing in every state in the country, how often do you think they'd be able to hold us to scanner accuracy?
Well, the OIG report talking about the scanner accuracy that
Yeah,
they can't be relied on. Even when they're saying go back and scan, those flats and letter scans.
yeah, the MSPs, yeah.
When you talk about passing
Yeah.
it and then having to go back, they're saying that those things are faulty. All of these things should be put together to say, hey, look, the scanners are good things, for customers, but to hold us to it as far as a miss scan or miss whatever those things are,
Or stationary events.
yeah, yeah, these things should have been grieved.
Yeah.
Saying I don't understand why we didn't go nationally with that. Now I know that Renfro has bought the scanner hook, line, and sinker. Matter of fact, when he was talking to us about T-REAP and saying that they were going to go by the scanner data, he was selling us on the scanner. It's the greatest things that ever happened to us. I had an episode about that. Him talking about greatest thing since sliced bread is this scanner. And we're gonna be able to question y'all about stationary events. I'm like, hold up to say, what'd you just say? You know, as a team, we're going to bring you in there, and if you sat longer than 10 minutes, they're going to question you about it. And if you don't have that's not the union job, brother. That's management.
Yeah,
Matter
you
of
got to go
fact,
out there. You got to go out
if
there.
they have some kind of issue with that, get off your fat ass and go out there and look. If you would have brought that to me or you, Paul, and as part of a route adjustment process and said, hey, we're on these scanners. What we're going to do is we're going to watch the carriers with these scanners. There's a red flag. And then when we bring them in jointly, if they've been sitting anywhere stationary for 6 minutes or whatever, we're going to question them about that. And if they don't have a justifiable answer, we're going to, take that away from their route. Well, fuck, what day are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that you're guilty until you're proven innocent. I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
I mean, we tell them, take the scanner. I know that it's wide, but shove that up your ass. And so I'm not, I don't care. I would like, you and I have talked about this 1,000 times. If you come up to me with these stationary events, when you saw that metric, you get everything at your disposal, all your step fours, 134 of the M39 handbook, and you take that to national arbitration. And you said, hey, look, they're spying on us and using covert techniques with these scanners, and they're harassing the carriers based off it. I know that my president said that was just an inconvenience to us, but it's not contractual. A contractual violation is not an inconvenience. I'm sorry, but we should have taken that nationally, because if you lose, you didn't lose anything. They're already doing it.
Yeah.
And if you lose, the arbitrator is going to say something that will benefit you, even if you lose. Any discipline that comes out of this must still meet the provisions of Article 16 and in accordance with the step 4 that says
something. We'll get
scanner
something.
data can't be the sole determinant for discipline. They're going to say that. And so you'd be back at square one, but at least you fought it. City letter carriers, all they want is for you to fight. That's it. That's all we want.
And the only way you lose is if you don't fight, and that's why we're losing.
Yes. Yes. But we have the mindset, Paul, that I've never lost. Oh, you've never lost? Well, that's fantastic. Well, how many fights you been in? None. Oh, well, shit. Yeah, if you've not been in any fights, you will never lose. That's a fact. You can retire saying that I have never lost a fight. And that's kind of true. You've never lost one. Your carriers are losing when you do that. We lose daily. Yeah. Every single day we lose because of an incompetent leadership like we have with Renfro.
Yeah. And this 20-minute fixed office time is just this one example, Corey. Your listeners have to start looking at every single minor adjustment process that's going on and look at that fixed office time, because we're victims here again.
Well, we talked about dogs of war, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But you brought up a great point a while back with me saying, hey, dogs of war don't need to be just for the joint statement. They can be for clock ring falsification, to have experts that know how to dig through that stuff, what to look for on that falsification. 6-day counts. there's a lot of great people on 6-day counts. A lot of regions have fantastic individuals when it comes to 6-day counts. But I would love to see a team on every 6-day count that knows exactly what to look for, like you're talking about when you talk about street waiting time, when you talk about those things. Minutes. I've always said minutes. Route inspections, 6-day counts are minutes. We are trying to save minutes as much as we can. And to have those teams going there on those 6-day counts and look for, are you doing that with a 20-minute fixed office time? And we don't know it. We didn't look for it. We didn't see it. And it's costing us because right now they're raking us over the coals on 6-day counts because they know they can. First off, you are going to wait forever. And they make money on 6-day counts. If you, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh
You
yeah,
come
yeah.
you come into a station and you take out 6 routes. And the data shows you should have taken out 3. That thing's going to go to arbitration and it's going to take months, if not a year. And you say, as part of my remedy, because you failed to abide by Section 2 of the M39, whatever else, that is $10 per calendar day. $10 per calendar day per carrier that was affected. And it goes on for a year, and management loses and has to pay that. They've still made money. Because taking out a route is taking out a body, and that's taking out insurance, it's taking out leave, it's taking out all these things. That's what they get when they take out a route. They take out a person and a carrier. And so it's much more than just a flat base rate. It takes out whatever you make as a city letter carrier. You get those things at the end of the year talking about this is what your total package is with your salary and your leave and all these things, your insurance. This is what you are as a total, 180,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's what they save. So if you get 20,000, they saved 100. That's just how it is. So they don't mind coming in and taking out however many routes because at the end of the day, they're going to make money.
And the sad part about it too, Corey, is possession is 9/10 of the law. If they come into an office and they take 6 routes, we're going to an arbitrator asking for those 6 back. We might not get everything we're asking for. The post office has already got what they want. Whatever they lose, it's not a loss to them. It's just a loss of their profit of what they've stolen from us.
It's back to square zero.
Yeah, I've got an arbitration brief due this Friday, and they had 2 routes taken out of this office, and the argument was, well, like you said, it's minutes here and minutes there. Well, Mr. Arbitrator, those minutes added up to 12 hours.
Yeah,
that's how this happens. Our job is made up of things that we do by the minute and by the second. But when you start taking these chunks of time away, when you start deducting all this stuff, that's what happens. That's how we lose routes. No one takes away an 8-hour block of time. They're taking away minutes and seconds.
Yeah. But you wanted to talk about also, and if you need to go back to something else, you can. But you're also livid about this Postmaster General.
Oh yeah. Steiner, yeah.
Talking about we're going to be out of cash in a year.
Yeah,
we have no cash, and you said they're setting us up.
Yeah, I told you that a couple of days before it came out, didn't I? I told you. I said, get ready.
I said Paul fucking called it.
Yeah,
but you said they're setting us up to revisit 5-day delivery.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things you was talking about.
Yeah,
and now that you see the things coming out, I'm like, my man's got something.
Yeah. So this is what they're doing, Corey. So they're turning our own customers against us. All around the country, we've got routes that aren't going out, or they'll send out the DPS or just the parcels. And these customers, our customers are not getting their mail. And what's going to happen is, and it just happened, Steiner has hired this outside firm to look at efficiency and service. And our customers, now he's going to bring this to our customers and say, we can't get your mail to you every day if we do it for 6 days. But if we do it for 5, then we can do it. 5 days.
And we can survive.
Yeah, and we can survive. Right, we can survive. Because this whole fake money crisis where we've got one manager for every 7 city carriers, that's not our fault. We
Yeah,
went from one manager to every 21 to one to every 7, but that's not our fault. That's the letter
yeah,
carrier's fault too.
yeah, yeah. The loss. Now I remember some of these business agents saying we could not bring out the fact that management lost $1 billion because of non-compliance. We can't bring that out because we will look like the bad guys. They actually said that. We will
Yeah.
look like the bad guys. You got your president, executive vice president, and others. They're sitting there harping on management's position, going broke. See, now they only have cash. He was saying, matter of fact, Renfro was talking about that in one of the rap sessions. Is hey, they're not even having cash next year. They are broke, so it's going to be hard times for us on this collective bargaining agreement. I love James's position on that. Pay us what we're worth.
Yeah.
Pay us all that other stuff. We don't care. Pay us what we're worth. But you're talking. I read this with James, and he's also going to be on this episode. I talked about this. But this person sent me this, and I thought of you when they did. It says, we have 42 routes. They just hired another supervisor and just put 2 more carriers as 204Bs. Now, this is after they came out talking about, and I'm going to read it in just a second, how much management they have. That gives us 3 204Bs. So, counting our postmaster, we have a total of 8 people to supervise 42 routes.
That's incredible, brother.
Doesn't seem like they're worried about money too bad. 8 people to supervise 42 routes. Now I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. And I talked about this with James. He talked about losing money. He says with 77%, now this is Postmaster General, with 77% of its costs coming from labor, the Postal Service cannot mitigate its losses without reducing personnel. In 2025, Steiner inherited a workforce twice as large as that of 20 years earlier. Now, we don't have twice as many carriers. We've lost carriers.
That's right.
We've lost carriers. Every year we lose carriers. We don't ever gain. Steiner inherited a workforce twice as large as that of 20 years earlier to process just half of the mail volume. DeJoy had exacerbated this problem when he converted 195,000 positions from part-time to full-time. Total headquarters employees grew from 10,318 in fiscal year 2020 to 14,000 in fiscal year 2025, even though we've got less personnel, an increase of 43%. The number of supervisors and managers increased during that time by 22%. From 22,663 to 27,720. That means none of the 3% reduction in total employees between fiscal 2020 and 2025 from 624,000 to 644,000, 624 from 644 came from upper level management. No
That's
losses in
amazing.
management. No
That's
losses.
amazing.
Here's
That's
what I
amazing.
think you're going to see. That came out, and then they start hiring more managers. This, like this person, it gives us 3 204Bs. So, counting our postmaster, we have a total of 8 people to supervise 42. Here's how the carriers are going to lose in that, because you talk what we were just talking about earlier, cash strapped and all this bullshit, 5-day delivery. I think that may be something that they take a shot at again. I think you're going to see them bloat management, then reduce management and said, hey, look, we did what we were supposed to do. We've cut 30% of management because we're overstaffed, 30% of management. It's like the Christmas sales. This is 50% off. Well, you raised it 52%, and then you say it's 50% off. So really, you didn't do anything. I think that's what you're fixing to see here. They're going to start reducing management after they've bloated management. So really they've not done anything, but like you said, they've sold the public on this woe is me bullshit, just like they have your president, because they're better at that than we are. They're constantly in papers. This paper here came out. Postal Service says it's on track to go broke within a year. Somebody sent me that paper. So they're doing a fantastic job. We don't have our president on any paper saying, hey, don't buy that shit. Here's what's happening. They lost $1 billion because they can't read the fucking contract. You got management so bloated that they're, when you talk about 6 to 1, carried a supervisor, which was probably 20-1 back in the day when you and I started.
In the 1990s, yeah.
Yeah. So don't fall for that.
No.
This is their own doing. And the carriers shouldn't be punished because of it. Because I know if I'm going to national arbitration, if we're going to collective bargaining and I'm going to arbitration, I'm going to start saying, bullet pointing that shit.
Yeah.
You talk about you're broke? You're broke. Here's another thing somebody sent me. Pay for performance. Pay for performance. This is postmasters, field managers, and field supervisors. Under the pay for performance PFP program, postmasters, field managers, and field supervisors will have performance measured under a 10-point rating system with different pay increases established at each of the 10-point ratings. This application will be based on the matrix immediately below. 2% is the lowest, 4%, 7.5%. Here's another one, 3%, 5%, 9%. These are the percentages of a bonus that they're going to get for meeting this 10-point rating system. 9%.
That's unreal.
The first thing I'm going to do is say, none of you motherfuckers get a bonus because we're broke.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If we're broke down here like Blues broke, motherfucker, y'all broke too. We're not going to be the only ones broke down here on the workroom floor. If we're broke, we're broke. This just came out. So you're going to give somebody 9% because they beat the shit out of us for an hour office time. They've probably were able to accomplish the 20 minutes fixed office time. They probably were able to get half their stations in their installation to fall for this 5 minutes of PM office time. They've cut stationary event time by 75%. Here's these bonuses for y'all for doing that. For beating the shit out of the city letter carrier, you're going to get 9%. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And where's the union at?
You want to hear an interesting statistic, Corey? I bet you've never heard this one. You've always said that we make enough money delivering mail with our product to pay city carriers. We're not broke, right? Do you know that one tray of DPS pays the salary of almost 3 new employees per day? And that's not even our big money maker, brother. The letter mail. One tray of DPS pays for 3 beginning level CCA salaries per day, almost.
And what are they intentionally delaying right now? Mail.
Yeah, the mail. Yeah. So how in the hell are we going to succeed as a company when we don't even have our product out on the streets?
Yeah. And express mail, somebody told me the other day that they're no longer doing express mails like they used to. It's just coming in the mail stream.
Yeah. The big question.
You remember that?
But
that used to be our big money maker.
Oh yeah. But the big question is why is National doing nothing? How can they not see this agenda? They're in contract negotiations the very month where we stop delivering mail around the country. You don't think that's related in any way?
Yeah.
Steiner came out last week. This was his statement. He said that the USPS has all the burdens of a government agency, such as having to deliver mail 6 days a week to every address. That's on his mind. He wants to stop that. This is a fast track to privatization. There's no doubt in my mind. And if Renfro can't see that, he's as blind as he's always been.
The Constitution is a burden.
Yeah. To all of us,
such
right?
a burden.
To all of us. Yeah.
Such a burden.
Oh, yeah.
But, these things are going to be the things that I lay out in a nice laminated template to him and say, take care of this shit here before we start talking about our financial package. Here, take this here. These are the things that y'all need to fix before you tell me that you're broke. Yeah, fix these things here. The bloating of management, that fat. Correct that. Show me where you've done any kind of, not training, because they'll show you some online courses about compliance.
Sure.
But show me somebody, like when I was going crazy on this the other day, a few episodes ago, I said, show me one manager that's been disciplined, terminated for the loss of any amount of money based on non-compliance. Because that's the easiest money to save is non-compliance. They'll come after us for missing 3 days sick because what do they say? We can't run an operation like that. We can't run an operation with you missing 3 days because people have to carry your route when you do that. And that's caused undue overtime because you called in sick. Same manager will spend $50,000 on noncompliance. And they're worried about me using overtime on one day I call in sick. And so when I talk about the double standard of it all, that's the double standard of it all. These things need to be put in their face and also put in the news. I'm going to say the city letter carrier is not at fault, baby.
No.
We do our job every fucking day. Let me show you what we deal with as the NLC and as Light Blue. This is what we deal with daily. And they're going to talk about they're broke. I'm not playing a fiddle for them bastards. Talking about they're broke.
Renfro should be the one on the streets right now organizing rallies saying they're not broke. Let us deliver the mail, showing pictures of us in handcuffs holding letters because we can't deliver the mail for our customers. This is where our contract negotiation comes into play, not going out there just waving signs saying, hey, you know, we don't know what we want, but give it to us, for crying out loud. You know, what the fuck is that all about?
Yeah, find like hell. What do we find like hell about? Y'all just make that up.
Yeah,
Whatever y'all want to talk about, y'all talk about. Brother, give us some kind of direction, some kind of instruction. You're 100% right. I've always said our biggest benefit is the public. They love us, and management is doing a fantastic job of beating us down. They're broke and they're out there in the street talking about they want more money. Typical union.
Yeah.
That's such a typical union. The company's going under. We're almost belly up. And look at the union out there. Look at these carriers out there in the street talking about they want a living wage. How dare them want a living wage when their company's going broke? They're doing that. It's everywhere. And so
now,
we're out there walking around in a circle saying we want better pay when we want it now. And they're saying we're broke. We may be out of cash in a year. And people are driving by us, look at those greedy bastards right there, wanting more money, wanting a living wage, and their company's going broke. You're right. We need to be saying, hey, here's the reason. The willful delay of y'all's mail.
Yeah. And
we're
you know
trying
what?
to get you the mail.
And Corey, I think that the post office finally figured it out. They finally figured out that our customers, the public, is our greatest asset. So they're going to try to turn them against us. I was at this safety meeting, brother. I was at this safety meeting, and the supervisor, one of the supervisors says, I want you carriers to know that I did you a favor. We've got customers calling up asking where their mail is, and I'm telling them I am not having a carrier walk to your mailbox if it's covered in snow. There's no walkway path cleared out. I'm not going to do that. Our carriers come first. And I raised my hand. I said, you can stop that shit right now because we're not prevented from going to the mailboxes because of the snow. We're prevented because you're not paying us to go. You're not letting us deliver the mail.
Here's something somebody sent me 53 minutes ago. We have been instructed at my station that our end time going forward will be 7 p.m. Our start time is 8:30 a.m. We average 9 routes down a day and only have 6 people on the ODL. We have been instructed that we all will have another 8-hour day, and we are to complete our packages and packages off another route and bring whatever mail we have left on our route back.
It's amazing. There it
is. When you started, what would happen if you brought a handful of letters back?
You're done. You're done. Every piece every day. Remember that? Every piece every day.
Done for. You wouldn't dream of bringing mail back. No. Now, it's common practice. Mail is no longer important for the Postal Service.
No. And that's the culture. That's what we're teaching our new carriers, Corey. Yeah. We're telling them, bring back the mail. It's not important. That's not your job. That's not your job. No, don't worry about it.
Just get those packages done.
Yeah.
Just get those packages. If I was a mailer, I would, because we deliver. We don't mail shit. We're deliverers. We don't mail anything. If I was a mailer, I'd lose my shit. If I knew my shit was sitting in there for 2 or 3 days because some lazy ass motherfucker don't want to pay me to deliver the mail.
100%.
Completely crazy. How is Congress and Senate not in their ass? Probably because we don't raise enough hell about it. I know there are some that are getting involved at these cities that their mail's been sitting there a week, but this is partly because our fault, because we've not just climbed to the mountaintops and started yelling this out. Look at what they're doing. As soon as they came out with that bullshit, we're running out of money. I was like, whoops, hang on just a second. Hang on. You're not going to tell the public that you're running out of cash in a year. That's not going to happen under my watch. I'm going to get me a newspaper. Yours is on page 3. I'm going to make sure mine's on page 1 or 2. Saying y'all fixing to read this bullshit about being out of money in a year on this next page. Somebody's just talking about running out of money in a year. Let me tell you what's going on truly with the post office. This is why. And so we don't do that shit either.
And what about Customer Connect, Corey? Who's going to go out there and tell our customers, hey, you want to sign up with us? We'll leave your mail on the floor for a couple days. Who the hell's
Yeah.
going to sign up with us?
Let us take that away from FedEx and UPS because this is kind of service we're going to give you.
Yeah, exactly. You want
Just
your
give
mail?
me-
Yeah, once a week. We'll
Yeah.
bring you your mail once a week. We'll bring some of it. We'll bring you some of
Yeah.
your mail. You know,
Yeah.
the stuff that's square and in boxes, but not the stuff that's white and in envelopes. You idiots.
And who is it? Who's the face of the Postal Service? Us.
We are. Exactly.
When you talk about the Postal Service, you don't have people out on the street thinking some fat ass supervisor sitting at a desk. They think about us, Light Blue. We're the face of the Postal Service. We're the backbone of the Postal Service, and we're run by complete incompetence. This is basic shit, man. I'm a shop steward,
Yeah.
and I figured this out. This is basic shit.
No,
You
I
got to
don't.
get the public involved.
Now,
They
I don't know
do.
if you heard. I don't know if you heard, but in 9 days, Steiner is set to testify in front of the House. And I
That'll-
guarantee you he's going to bring up this stuff about, oh, well, you know, we're having a hard time delivering the mail. Look at these numbers. Look at these numbers. Because he set us up for the last 3 months not delivering mail. Now he's going to go to the House and he's going to plead his case saying, I know how to save the Postal Service. You remember when Renfro said he's a good man? He's a good man that we can work with?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Nobody's a good man that we work against.
No.
They're all the same to me.
If
I
you
can
can't,
sit down. I can sit down in front of you and we can talk like you and I are talking. I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Not you, but you know what I'm talking about.
yeah. If you can't identify your enemy, you're not going to win the battle.
Right. Right.
If everybody's your
They're-
friend, you're not going to win the battle.
They're all our adversaries. All of them.
Yep.
You can't trust any of them. They may speak well. Fuck, we got that right now. But they may dress well and speak well and look well and come in there. They're knowledgeable about shit, man. They got our best interests at hand. I don't trust nobody.
Nope.
Not when it comes to Light Blue. I never will.
No, 100%. We know what's best for us, and they know what's best for them, and they can sit on that side of the room and spew their shit, and we'll fight
Yeah.
for our carriers.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the 15th, next Sunday.
Oh yeah, we got a great Zoom training coming up. This has been a little while, Corey. We've been working on this, and stuff's gotten in the way. We had to do route inspection training because that was coming up on the horizon, and but this is going to lead us into the dogs of war I want to talk about in a minute too. But
Yeah.
this JSOV on the workroom floor, brother, we have become so used to being abused that it's commonplace now. You know, there's carriers that are texting you every day, that are texting me every day saying, what do we do about this? How do I file a grievance on this? Is this actually harassment? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. A supervisor has one opportunity to go up to you, Corey Walton, and say, these are my estimates. This is what I think you should accomplish today. When you give him that ox slip, that's the end of the conversation. There's none of this bullshit saying, well, I really know you can do this. You did this yesterday. I've got these numbers from a 1-day count from July of last year. This is what I'm going to hold you to. That all is a joint statement violation. And we've gotten so used to just letting this happen to our brothers and sisters. So on the 15th, we're going to have this Zoom training. We're going to get into how to fight this stuff, how to research, how to file your grievance, how to craft an issue statement, remedies, all of that stuff. We got to start fighting. I mean, it's gotten to the point where we're just letting things happen. And I think you're right. These people in this ivory tower, you know, and in Indiana Avenue don't see what's going on the workroom floor. Our carriers are getting beaten down, brother.
Yeah. And my thing is this and I tell everybody this, get yourself ready for when the CLC takes over.
Shit, yeah.
Get yourself ready because when we take over, it's Katie bar the fucking door. James talks about that all the time. Priority one is the toxic working environment. I'm not going to have my carriers coming in dreading to come into work. It's a place that they should enjoy. It's stressful enough just to do the fucking job.
I think I told you, Corey, but I'll tell you now if I haven't, I'm going to get carried out of some of these places in handcuffs. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
Because I'm not going in there to have a cup of coffee with somebody or to shake somebody's hand. I'm going in there
yeah,
to make examples of them. They're making
yeah,
examples of our brothers and sisters right now. They're
yeah,
harassing us, embarrassing us on the workroom floor. It's time for them to get embarrassed. It's
yeah.
time for someone to tell them that they're going to stop this shit.
I tell this story all the time. I'm not going to tell the whole story because it's too long. But a buddy, when I was in fifth or sixth grade, volunteered me to fight these two other guys, me and him. And I'm not a fighter, and so he volunteers me to go and fight these two guys with him. And so I was a nervous wreck, man, scared to death because I've never punched anybody. I think in fourth grade or fifth grade, I punched a bully because my dad told me I better. And so it is first time I punched anybody. But uh, so he's getting me ready. He's preparing me. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do this and that. And, you're going to take this person, I'm going to take that one. And so we're walking up to them. They're in my neighborhood. And one of them's got two hammer handles. And he's got some twine in between them, made some kind of homemade nunchucks. And he's just kind of swinging it around, just swinging it, just kind of like those old cops back in the day, just swinging it like that.
I can see that right now, man, in my
It,
head.
it terrified me. So I'm like, this dude has nunchuck, not thinking he has no idea what he's using. He's not Bruce Lee, he has no idea. So I was terrified. I'm like, God, I'm going to die. And so I look over at Junior and I said, hey, what? Well, Junior just keeps walking. And he walks up and he snatches it out of this guy's hand. He beats the shit out of both of them with it. Just old school, just lashing these son of bitches. And they're running off from him. He's hitting them, chasing them, hitting them in the back of the head, shoulders, everything and they're just running their ass off. So he comes back. I hadn't even moved. I'm standing there. I'm in awe and terrified at the same time. That I just witnessed that. And he comes back by me. He's mad at me because I just stood there. Comes back by me, and I said, "Man," he said, "time for talking's over. The time for talking, that's over. That's what dogs of war are. The
100%,
time
man.
for talking, it's over.
Yep.
When they come in, like you said, we're not coming down to have some tea and crumpets. The time for talking is over. It's about the business. And when I very first started this podcast, I said, be about that damn business. It's about the business of protecting like blue. And that's exactly what Dogs of War for. That's what James Henry wants, and that's what's going to happen. And so, yes, I wish everybody would get educated on the joint statement, understanding what it is, the arguments we're going to need to make, the statements we're going to need to have. And those things, when the teams will come in, we'll get all those things. But it's something that is a priority of mine, and I'm going to make sure that it's successful, and I'm going to make sure that we go into every workroom floor in the country that has some asshole in there that's determined that they're going to make their livelihood off of making my people miserable, and we're
Oh, yeah.
going after them.
I'm looking for someone to make an example of, Corey. That's day one, January 1st. I want to be sitting in front of somebody with a tie who thinks he's all that and telling him where he can go. Man, I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
yes. Deal with my dogs here.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
see you later,
Yeah.
and my dogs are going to stay. And but
And speaking of that, Corey, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here with the Dogs of War, but I did want to tell you that I've got a group of 74 people in all 15 regions right now that I'm
yeah,
talking to. Um, we're going to be inviting a lot of people. This isn't a closed door at all, but this is just a group of people from every region, and we're starting to work on things we can put together, plans we can put together, trainings. We're going to start sharpening our knives, getting our
yeah,
skill set ready. So we're going to hit the ground running, brother. This is not
yeah,
something that we're going to start planning on January 1st. This is something we're going to start implementing on January 1st,
yeah.
2027. Here
So
we come.
somebody wants to sign up for Dogs of War. And I know that when I announced this, I quit announcing it immediately because I had so many people sign up. But you've also talked about having teams for, like I said, route inspection, maybe. That'll be up to James if that's what he wants to do.
Oh
I
yeah.
know there's a lot of great regional people in that. Um, Falsification of clock rings, things of that nature. So somebody wants to be on a team and they want to be used like that. How they sign up? Where do I go?
So you might be the portal, brother. It might be from A to arbitration or the Lions Den. We're gonna have to. I mean, of course, now we gotta we're still trying to get all the pieces in place here because there's going to be a lot of moving parts. I mean, we're going to have, like you said, route inspections. We're going to have all these cancers that are popping up, like welcome back packets, TV monitors, stationary events. We get to stop all these fires at once. We can't just let one thing. I mean, if you stop one thing from burning and the other one catches on fire, you're not getting anywhere. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts. There's going to be places for everybody that wants to have a place, Corey. And
Yeah.
some people might just want to they might just want to be able to tell you what's going on in their office. Maybe they want to report back and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. I'm taking statements from my brothers and sisters. That's an important role. Other people
Yeah.
might be somebody in a region who, I can oversee this in a region to help take care of like region 1, 2, 3, 14 and make sure that this part is taken care of. So there's going to be you and I and James and Kamitra are going to be sitting down and looking at how much money you can spare on this because this is the biggest part of our education right now is making sure that we can fight.
Yeah. Well, and I know that when I say how can they sign up, I know that when we redid the from eight arbitration website, the emails are gone. Um, Mallory said that when they had to do that because we had to pay for that, and so I paid. I can't remember what it was, but it's going to be $400. And she said, but if we do it this other way, it'll be half of that. And so I said, we'll do it the other way then. When we did that, we lost every one of our emails. My email, JB's email, her email, but also the Dogs of War was in that. Now we have the master sheet of all the people that are on there. You've got that, I've got that.
Right.
And I do know that y'all are reaching out to those individuals to say, hey, making sure you're still interested. Just a response. I think y'all are doing that now. You got some helpers with that.
I do, yeah. Chris
But
Gannett from Branch 230 in Nashville, he's taken on a big role in helping me out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a couple people around the country, yeah.
Yeah. So, but if I want to sign up, do we have an email yet? Would we have one back up and running
Jesus.
that they can
If
sign
I
up for
if
that?
I give if I give my email out, it's going to blow up, brother.
Well, let's get a Dogs of War email again. Maybe we can get with Mallory and see how we can do that, where they can just go straight to that and sign up. I know that we got a lot of names,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I
we
think you
we
you
want
got
to have
I think you had like 150 or 60 people that signed up and we reached out to those people and I think we got like 74 right now that have already responded in just about a week or so.
that was in 2 days.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Two
Yeah.
That was in 2 days. I announced it, and in 2 days I quit announcing. I don't think the next Sunday I even announced it. I was like, oh shit, that's a lot of people. 160 in 2 days said, hey, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to fight that fight for you with the Dogs of War. But if we're going to start, kind of branching out a little bit, maybe we think about doing that again. And of course, people always message too. I send you messages. People say, hey, I'm interested in Dogs of War. Everywhere you go, people talk about Dogs of War. Can't wait. Even here in Louisville, people came up and said, man, my manager's this. I cannot wait for the Dogs of War to get
Yeah.
in there on their ass. And we can't either.
Yeah. And I've got, and Corey, this is going to be so much easier in 2027 because right now we get people that are interested, but they're nervous about their region coming down on them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but I'm
that's true.
But I'm telling you, I've in all 15 regions, I've got people that are interested in all 15 regions. So there
Yeah.
is nobody not represented right now in our union. So this
Yeah.
is people are passionate about this. I've got people
Yes.
calling me saying, "What can I do right now? What can I do right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Put your seatbelt
Educate
on.
yourself.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming."
Yeah, educate yourself. But let's get back to the 15th. We kind of got off on Dogs of War, but so we're going to have nationwide Zoom training. And how can they sign up for that?
So we've got a on concerned letter carriers. I think it's on the Facebook page, right? That they have you have to sign up on a Zoom account, and this is free. But you're going to have to sign up and log on with the same account, the same email that you used to sign up for the Zoom account. This is happening, Corey, because we had a couple of people bust into one of our trainings and they were using derogatory language, just trying to disrupt us. Somebody from another slate or from Renfro's office. I don't want
Yeah.
to. I don't know
Well,
if we should.
they were using racial slurs,
Right, right,
and
right.
and so Mina was trying to get them kicked off, and so that's kind of these are some safeguards to make sure that kind of stupid ass unintelligent bullshit don't happen anymore.
Yeah. And we're going to take questions from the field too, I believe. I think James put aside some time to take some questions on JSOV. So
Yeah.
I think this is a really comprehensive training. We got into some stuff that I pulled some stuff out of your resources that you
Yeah.
provided.
Yeah.
Some fantastic grievance starters from around the country that I pulled in. So this is going to be something that we really, really need. And I hope your listeners sign up.
Yeah. Yeah. We should have a good little group. But
Yeah.
again, educate yourself as much as you can because, like you said, when we take over, we're going to hit the ground running. And this is, when it first started, I said, this is my baby, because the one thing I cannot stand are bullies. And I know people call me a bully on my podcast. And I said, I am a bully. I'm a bully for the city letter carrier. I'll be that. And with a smile on my face, I'll be a bully for the city letter carrier. And I'm unapologetic about that. I will be that until they put me in the ground. I'll be a bully for the city letter carrier because it's all I've ever known. For 34 years, this is what I've done full time. And I'm not a part time carrier for photo opportunities. I'm a full time carrier.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a passion of mine. I can't wait for it. So,
Yeah, looking
what
forward to
else
it.
you got for me? What else you got, man? We covered some shit. What else you got?
Um, Grievance starters. I wanted
Yeah,
to talk to you about grievance starters that National has. We are missing, I told you, we're missing welcome backpackers. We're missing stationary events. We're missing the whiteboard things, the
yeah,
expectations. We're missing the new CA16 forms that are coming out. We're missing JSOV. We're missing so many areas in education on our grievance starters. And I really think that I think you feel the same way that restricting carriers from the arbitration program where they can learn how arbitrators have ruled, I think there's a mistake. How do you feel
yeah,
about that?
yeah. I know that a lot of people, when I start talking about putting them in my contentions, because when I was in 2008, I put them in there, and they're like, you don't need to put them in there because a lot of carriers don't know what they're putting in there. Like we're all fucking stupid. We can't read.
Yeah,
That this is
yeah,
an Article 8. They're putting in Article 41. And come on now. You know, the city letter carrier is not stupid. We're very well educated as far as what we need to do. And so, but yes, one of the biggest things I did to learn and educate myself is looking at arbitration sites. I still do it. I was
yeah.
looking the other day, I had that episode where I was, can't remember what I was talking about, but I looked through 100 damn sites looking for good language on what we were talking about. And you educate yourself because you got an issue statement, you got management's position, you got the union's position, and the arbitrator's decision. And so, yes, I think that every carrier should have access to just understand if there's something going on in their office and the shop's just saying that's not a grievance. They say, well, there's 57 arbitrators that disagree.
Yeah, and
But
that,
yeah,
and if you think about it too, Corey, the grievance procedure is sharpening your knife until you get to arbitration. That's where your knife is the sharpest. That's where all the arguments are refined. So,
yeah,
like, take for instance, start time grievance, right? So I've always grieved that using the M39. 80% of your mail has to be available to case, but there's also an Article 5 approach, the
yeah.
unilateral action, and
I
both
read
of
that
them.
last week. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. The one just came out. Someone sent me last week, and those both can win the day. But
yeah,
if you don't see these arbitrations out there, you don't know that there's other arguments that you can use. So this is a great place for us to learn as carriers, even if we don't use them for our grievances.
yeah.
We learn the process and what's there.
Well, and you got to fight it. I know that I was reading that text last week where one of the business agents, and I'm here in his region today, said that there's like, hey, they're changing our start times. We need to agree with that. Well, if you were losing money, if you're a company that was losing money, wouldn't you make changes too? That's like, what?
What are you talking
Well,
about? Come on.
yeah. So we're going to say, because they're losing money, they no longer have to abide by the agreement.
Yeah.
Well, I've never seen a union buy something hook, line, and sinker like we have over this. We're broke shit.
No.
I just haven't, and put up no fight. And but yeah, if you're losing money, if your company losing money, wouldn't you make changes too? So we don't even. Why do we need the JCAM anymore? Then let's just throw that
No.
motherfucker out the window.
No.
They're
Yeah.
broke. We don't have any collective bargaining agreement anymore. They're out of money, and so it says under Article 67, if they're out of money, we no longer have to abide by the agreement.
Yeah. It's funny, Corey, talking to you and I are both fishermen. We both love fishing. And
Right.
I'm thinking that the way that we are right now in this whole process, it's like we're stocked fish in a pond. We'll bite on a piece of shoe leather. We don't know any better because our national president doesn't even know when something's out there that's going to hurt him.
Yeah.
Oh, 20
Well,
minutes of fixed office time. I think I'll eat that. That sounds good. What the
yeah,
hell's
yeah,
wrong with you?
yeah. 22 minutes of load time. I like that.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
like the way
good.
that's I like the way that's lying around that hook right there.
Yeah.
And 22 minutes of load time. What else we got? What else can y'all give me?
Post office is broke. I love that one. That sounds good.
That's tasty. But
Hey,
yeah.
stock fish in a pond, bro. That's what we are. Stock fish in a pond right now.
Well,
Unbelievable.
those days are changing, brother, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
And so, what else you got? That it?
I think, well, yeah, I mean, we covered a lot of ground. Dogs of War, you said there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to cover. It's not just going to be JSOV. That's our big goal. That's our big goal is to stop the harassment on the workroom floor. But there's all kinds of things out there that we're going to focus on. So,
Yeah.
get ready. Get ready. I mean, with these route inspections are a big thing too, especially if they're going to try to enforce this lower fixed office time. Screw that shit. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, well, they're all over us right now, man. They're like a swarm of hornets on our head. And it's just we don't have anybody to get them off for us. We're left fending for ourselves. That's why me and you are doing this. Is because we're left fending for ourselves, and we're not even in office yet, and having to figure everything out because we got clowns up there that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. But that's all right.
We got to train our
You know,
brothers and sisters on a Sunday afternoon because they can't do it all year long.
we're gonna keep doing it, brother. We're gonna keep doing it.
Yep.
I'll
Amen.
have you on again. Thank you for taking the Lions Den off of me. You've
Yep.
done a fantastic job with that. A lot of people constantly commenting on that, complimenting you on that. I appreciate you
Appreciate it.
doing that.
I appreciate that,
I know
brother.
that
Thank
your plate is full, and we're trying to make it fuller,
you.
but you still you still
Who
do the
needs to
Lions
breathe?
Den.
Who needs to breathe? I'm good.
So overrated. But anything else you want to say before we get out of here, my man?
No, I just want to encourage everyone to make sure that they show up at that training on March 15th. I think it's going to be a real asset. We are going to have that. I think we're going to put it on YouTube and have the slides downloadable and the references. But
Yeah.
there's a ton of information on there. I really think that it's going to be something you can use to protect your brothers and sisters. So we hope to see you there. Myself, Corey, and Kamitra Lewis are going to be there.
All right, brother. Hey, I love you, my man, and I'll talk to you later. All right, Paul?
All right, catch you.
All right, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
My brother Corey Walker. Commissioner, you do it every time. I was going to be nice. She starts talking about my brother Eugene Gates, and does it every time. We talk about experience. I heard that a lot today. And that's one of the things that people want to talk about with the CLC is experience. And I always say, experience at what? That's what you need to ask yourself. Experience at what? Because here's the experience that I'm talking about, and that's the example, Kamitra, that I want to use. I have a president. You recording this? Yes, sir. Good. I have a president of the National Association of Letter Carriers. To me, the city letter carrier, we are the baddest son of bitches on the planet. Nobody does what we do. No other profession does what we do. You never see anybody sitting in a 130-degree vehicle for 8 to 10 hours a day. Nobody does it. You see us being robbed daily. The struggles that we have daily. You see that. Nobody does what we do. And you have a president over us, the agent, supposed to protect us. I'm going to use your situation. When I first heard of Kamitra Simpson Lewis, and we were talking about Eugene Gates Jr. passing away, and what happened to him, because it was right there during that period of time when we was talking about HIP, if y'all can remember, how management was falsifying HIP nationwide.
And that did not sit well with me because I thought nationally we should take that to a national level grievance. James Henry and I talked about that often, how we missed that. Should have done that. Then you have my brother pass away in somebody's front yard, nearing retirement. And he had just received discipline, as she said, for stationary events. I thought that we should have addressed that nationally, and we did not. And so here my brother is near retirement and getting a letter of warning for something that you should not be getting disciplined for because you can't use GPS data against me. And he goes out there and he succumbs to the heat and he dies. And the first thing that the Postal Service does is come out with communication on social media and to the news saying, well, look, we gave him this hip training. We gave him this hip training so he should have known better. Only to find out that they falsified his. Here's my example. I had the president of this union, because we were raising hell for our brother Eugene Gates, tell us on the floor like blue, that we were seeking a pound of flesh for our brother. My leader, the president of us. I had this sister raise complete hell. On every social media outlet, to every newspaper that would listen, she was there saying, hey, they falsified his training. It was intentional what they did to this man. You saw it over and over again. And I said, hey, there's your president right there. If y'all remember that episode. I said, there's your president right there. I've got a clown up here at National saying we're seeking a pound of flesh, and I got a sister right here raising hell to everybody that would listen. Now, who wants to talk about experience? Is that what you're talking about, experience? Somebody that dresses nice, speaks nicely. Is that the experience that y'all are looking for? Then keep voting for that clown or whoever else is running against James. If you want somebody that speaks nicely, I don't want that. I want that. I want this man right here. I want Walt.
We want winners.
We want winners.
Yeah.
The CLC is here in force today. We're here in force because this region, you sure we're recording this? Good. Because this region is one of the ones that got me to be the way I am. Expressing the anger that I have. It's this region. When I talk about cowardice, your region, Exhibit A. When you talk about the good old boys, your region, Exhibit A. I would receive hundreds of calls, texts, emails, Facebook messages about this region, about the failure of your leadership. And y'all remember I would talk about your business agent. Because to me, if you're my agent, if you're the national business agent, there should be some kind of fight to you, I would think. I mean, there should be some level of fight in you if you're the national business agent. I would just, by the mere name of that, the title, I would just take it that would be something that would come along with that position. Is some form of fight. Y'all have none. How is that possible? I think it goes in line with we just keep voting as we're told to vote. We're just going to keep voting. We got duped with Renfro. We got duped with a lot of others because we just take for granted that those people have our best interest at hand. And look at where we're at. Look where we're at. This man right here. 100% will be your next business agent. And I don't consider this one to be a close race. There will be some that'll be a little tight. We'll still win. I don't consider this one to be close. You still got those lackeys, I heard somebody say bootlickers, that will keep voting status quo. Hell, it is what it is. But this man, well, if you know him, you understand what I'm talking about. The passion, the fight, the love for the city letter carrier. I would think that if you're looking at leadership, that's kind of what you want. I don't know, because you'll still have some people vote for the status quo. What we're going to bring to the table. Since it's Sunday, I'm in a Bible bed. I'm going to preach to you a little bit. If that's all right. I see we got a lot of Southern Baptists because everybody's in the back. So I want to stay a little front. But I'm going to preach to you a little bit today. I want us to be fearless. I want us to be fearless in everything that we do. City letter carriers on the workroom floor, light blue. Shop stewards, formal aides, DRT, advocates, executive council, resident officers. I want us to be fearless in everything that we do. I want us to be prepared for everything that comes our way. When we talk about, if y'all listen to my podcast, our office times, I saw somebody sent me something yesterday that I want to talk about. 45 minutes office time, no exceptions. Should address that as well, we did. You talk about the whiteboards, you talk about 22 minutes of load time, which don't even get me started. You talk about these things, and we were not prepared on the workroom floor. We were not fearless in the way that we went after those things. Because for some reason, my union has decided that we will not fight because we may lose. Which to me, I have never understood that with a union. How that's your position, that we may fight, but we may lose, so we're not going to take those things on. Those days will be gone. We will look back on those days as the worst of times for the NLC. The times under Renfro and your business agent that you have now. We will look back on those times as the worst of us when we take over this thing come next year. Be fearless in everything that you do. In everything that you do. Always be prepared for everything. I'm going to tell a Bible story. It's my favorite one. And it may not be what you think. David and Goliath. It's my favorite Bible story. Because you can use it for everything. Right? Now, David, at the time, was a shepherd. And we've talked about on my podcast, shepherds and sheep herders. One leads from the front, one leads from the back. You lead from the back. But what we have now are sheep herders. They're back there. Pound of flesh. They're back there behind us. Shepherds lead from the front. So David was a shepherd. Now his brothers were in a battle. Right? They were in a battle, and for 40 days, they were cowards to Goliath. Goliath said, hey, look, here's the proposition. What we're going to do. One of y'all come fight me, and whoever wins, their army's going to win. 40 days, nobody would walk across that field. Nobody. Scared to death. Scared of the fight. Does that sound familiar? That's your union right now. Nobody would walk across that field so shit. Hey, David, wanders up to his brothers. He's talking to them. He's like, hey, who's that talking crazy over there? Who is that? And they're like, it's Goliath, man, who's 9 feet tall. And he's talking crazy, y'all. You ain't going to do nothing? No, have you seen it? Don't need to. Don't need to. Man's calling you out to fight. Y'all sitting over here. Y'all supposed to be the fighters. I'll do it myself. You're crazy. You can't even pick up a sword. Don't need to. Because I'm fearless in what I do. I learned my things on my workroom floor out there defeating bears and lions and shit. That's my workroom floor. That's where I learn things, is on my workroom floor. I'm going to go out there and handle y'all's business. So what does he do? Little David, the shepherd, walks out there and kills the shit out of him. You know the most impressive thing about that, when I talk about be fearless, but also be prepared for everything. Be prepared for everything. How many stones did David have? 5. You know why? Because Goliath had 4 brothers. That's why. What about that? Be fearless. Be prepared for everything. My man says, hey, I've got this one for Goliath. And I'm going to get 4 more just in case his brothers show up. And I got some for them too. While y'all sit over here wondering what the hell y'all going to do. Be fearless in everything that you do. You'll be successful. Will we always win? No. No, we will not always win, but we will always fight. As light blue as a city letter carrier. All I want from my agent is to fight for me. That's it. I don't want anything else. Just fight for me. Damn, you work for me and you won't fight for me. But you'll sure take my money. Those days are coming to an end. Those days are coming to an end. The CLC. We will be fearless in everything that we do. Experience? Yeah. We got experience where it matters. Fight. That's the experience I want. You want integrity? Man right here, he's got all of it. Not a single person running against him has an ounce. Not an ounce. Give me a list of what I want for president, put at the top of that son of a bitch, integrity. Integrity. He's the only one with an ounce of it. Nobody else has any. I told you, Demetra, it's going to be nice. You do that to me every time.
I haven't heard one cuss word yet.
I said 2. I got some babies over here, so I got to be careful. But when you talk about be fearless, be prepared for everything, like David with those 5 stones. James and I, we talk often, like he says, and we talked about the workroom floor. What are the most pressing issues on the workroom floor? I've delivered for 34 years, still do today. Now we travel a lot, so I miss my route. But 34 years I've delivered. John, you and I are almost identical. Didn't you say you're a TE in 92, 93?
93.
PTF in 94? I was a TE in 92 and a PTF in 94. I didn't know that until you just said that. But yeah, so I've been delivering mail ever since, 6 days a week. I've always been on the ODO. So I've been delivering 6 days a week for 34 years. So I kind of know the workroom floor, kind of understand it. Plus, with the podcast that I came out with, people across the country will reach out to me with things that, and that's how I know about most things that go on. When you talk about the hour office time and the metrics of a stationary event, whiteboards and things like that, that's from other people reaching out to me saying, hey, have you dealt with this? Can you talk about it? Yes. So James and I, we talk, and he's like, we're gonna take care of the workroom floor. Finances, that's always number one. Finances will always be at the top, as it should be. Work on the floor, gotta be number two. The toxic working environment, which has crippled my people. Managers that have chosen to bludgeon my people. Right? What are we going to do about the toxic working environment on the workroom floor? Because if you look up the database on the JSOB, we're winning at about a 50% clip. So how can we handle that? James and I came up with, is a catchy little name, the Dogs of War. The Dogs of War is how it will be handled. Those teams that will answer to us and us alone. And they will be fearless. The most fearless. Going into the worst of places. Being prepared for everything. Kind of like David. They will be fearless in everything that they do. Because they have one mission and one mission only. To save my people. To save my people on the workroom floor for those that have chosen to cause dread to my brothers and sisters. So James said, Corey, you're responsible for the toxic working environment on this workroom floor. You have it. You make sure that my people are safe. And that they wake up in the morning, instead of crying, coming into work to a place that they hate, they're going to enjoy it again. Because they know that their agent is not going to say that it's just us seeking a pound of flesh. They're going to go in there and kick management's ass, right? Because that's what we do as the agent. James says, what are we going to do about education? Here's my idea. Corey, I'm going to re-implement the director of education. Because I want the workroom floor educated across the country. Not just the shop stewards, not just the formal step A's, DRT, arbitration advocates, not just them. I want light blue educated so that when managers come out there with an hour office time or something like that, they know immediately to go to the shop steward and say, hey, behind your back, they're over here telling us that we need to get out in an hour. We know that that's a grievance because my agent educated us on working floor. James Henry said, that's what we're going to do. So you know what's going to happen? We're going to educate the working floor. I don't know that the NELC has had a better educator than James Henry. Of course, he's been stripped of all those responsibilities by this clown ass we have up there because James decided that we needed something different. So to punish him, he in actuality he punished us on the workroom floor because we no longer have this advocate up there fighting for us. We will re-implement Advanced Formal Step A and Beyond, one of the most notorious and best classes we've ever had. But those are just a few things that I'll be tasked with. Legislatively, I've got my man right here. I've got others. There are teams that handle those things. We hire people to deal with those things. That will obviously be something that will be in the forefront, is legislation. If you can't sell the city letter carrier to somebody, what we do, you need to get out of the business of selling. If you can't sell what we do to anybody, you need to get out of that business of selling. You're terrible. Because I see my people every day. When I come to union, we go to union meetings all the time. 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Sitting in their uniforms. Right? How many family functions have y'all gone to in your uniform?
Way too many.
How many pictures do you have of family functions in your uniform? Right? How many kids' events have y'all gone to? Baseball, basketball, choir, chorus, in your uniform?
Stinky.
Stinky. Right? Sweaty, nasty, cold, wet. Anybody ever done that?
Oh, yeah.
And you can't sell that to somebody? During COVID, the whole world shut down. Except who? The city letter carrier. Do you know what a shot in the arm that was to the public? Do you know what a shot in the arm that was to our customers that were terrified during that period of time to see us, Light Blue, continuing our job, delivering whatever mail we had, all of the things, these kits that we were delivering at the time, COVID kits? What a shot in the arm we were to the public. But we didn't get nothing for that. Not a penny. You can't sell that. You're in the wrong business if you can't sell us. I know that some are out there thinking that they put a uniform on a few hours every year. I'm one of y'all. I had a district manager. His name was Dave Vale. And Dave Vale, if y'all listen to my podcast from beginning to end, he was the one that came into my station and took all my tubs away, put my flats on the floor. And we filed a grievance. He came out there and I said, brother, go in your office and put all your shit on the floor. Put your copier on the floor, the fax machine on the floor, your phone on the floor, your desk, just take that out, your chair, take that out, put all your shit on the floor. Do that, and then come talk to me. This is an AMSOP, A-M-S-O-P. This is an AMSOP, I don't care what it is. You're not going to put my stuff on the floor. I'm not a dog. Well, this guy, same guy, district manager, he, how long ago got it? I'm going to take Cruz's time. He yielded his time to me, didn't he, baby? He came back in to my station with head of ops, district labor manager, all these people, and he comes over and it's like, they told me I needed to talk to you. I said, what about? Every year, I deliver a route. I said, what for? Well, just to keep myself in touch with y'all. Every year, I deliver a route. I said, hang on just a second, brother. You're going to tell me that you're going to come here, you're going to wear a uniform. Yeah. You're going to wear a uniform once a year, and you're supposed to be in touch with us. Yeah. I said, baby, look here. Here's what we do. Here's what we do. We work 365 days a year. In the worst elements that you could possibly think of, 10 feet of snow, 100 degrees outside, the vehicle 130. And we will do that for an entire summer. And in the winter, we're going to be out there with all of our clothes that we own on our bodies. Walking around with gloves on, trying to handle mail with the fingertips out the glove, they're frozen solid. Flipping through that, through ice, hoping that we don't break something. We get chased by dogs, we get robbed. And you're going to tell me that you're going to come in here and put your uniform on once a year, and you're one of us? You're not going to do it in this station. So, head of district, the district labor manager, he's like, Corey, it's just this. I said, and I guess you're probably going to have a bunch of cameras with you too. Because it's not about being one of us, it's about being in a photo shoot. You're using me for a photo op, is what you're doing. I said, I'll tell you this, guys, guy that was head of district labor. His name was Eric Conklin. And Dillman's standing right there. Ops is standing right there. I said, I'll tell you this, Eric. I said, this guy walks into my station with a uniform on. I'm going to file a grievance the second I see him. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Oh, Corey, I'm not going to be a photo op to anybody. Period. I will not be a photo op so that you can say you're one of us. There are those that use us for a photo op. Saying, look at me. I've got my uniform on. I'm one of y'all. How about this? How about district manager? You do district manager type shit. Agent, you do agent type shit. And let light blue do light blue type shit. How about that? Because if you're the agent, be the agent. If you're in management, be management. And if it was about being one of us, I wouldn't see 1,000 videos of you or 1,000 pictures of you on social media. When I see that, I realize it's not about being light blue and being in touch with us on the workroom floor. It's about showing off and saying, hey, I'm one of y'all, look at me. I've got my uniform on. I've had this same uniform for 12 years. I ain't got a stain on it because I wear it once a year. Damn, man, you know, we do things that's light blue. We do things that's light blue. That's more than just a few fucking hours a week. It's our life. It's who we are. It's what we do. We're not a photo op or a photo shoot to gain some kind of street cred. You want street cred? Get your ass out there on the workroom floor 365. That's street cred. Give me that person. A CCA's got more street cred than you, talking about, I'm one of y'all. It's unbelievable where we've come to, man. But times are changing. Times are changing. There is a storm coming. There is a storm coming. And it's the CLC. Brother, times are changing. James Henry's going to win. He is a freight train right now. And they have no idea what to do with him. No idea. The man's got more integrity, like I said, than anybody I've ever known. But you'll see a lot of these clowns with all this, they ain't done shit in 3 years. And now they're going to come out with all this misinformation about this guy. Hold strong. Hold strong. All right? Because the two things that we're going to do, we're going to be fearless in everything that we do. We're going to be fearless. And we're going to be ready for everything. If there's one thing that you can do for us, just one, go to your workroom floor and tell the letter carriers to vote for the CLC. Just one thing. That's all I will ever ask of you. If there's one thing, go to the workroom floor and tell them to vote for the CLC. Okay? I'm Corey Walton, running for Executive Vice President, and I appreciate your